Hello, I'm Billy Brodeur. I'm here today with Mr. Koss, English teacher here at JCHS High School. One of the only English teachers at the high school that I've never had. So I've asked him to come in today. I want to get to know him. I want to get to know more about him. Our little bit of interaction through these last 4 years has been minimal. So hopefully by the end of this interview we can know each other a bit more. Mr. Koss, we're going to start with something. We're going to go way back. We're going to start with your days at UPenn. Let me hear a story. Let me hear anything about it.
Did you use the term way back?
Not way back. You understand what I mean. We'll go a little bit
I'll
back.
tell you a story, and I think maybe a lot of kids here can relate in their own way. And it's before I ever started there. My parents drove me down from North Dayton, Massachusetts to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in a Chevy Chevette. Moved myself into the dorm, went out for a bite to eat. My parents hugged, kissed me goodbye. I watched them drive up the street and I said, what do I do now? I'm from North Dayton, Massachusetts. I'm sitting in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I don't know a soul. That's a frightening thing.
Yeah, it seems it. It doesn't seem.
And
like a great
fortunately for
experience.
me, I was a member of the football team, so I was thrown in with 100 guys on a daily basis right from the get-go. And I quickly met and made friends. But I got to tell you, the fact that I went from a small town to a big city helped me grow as a person immensely. And I would recommend that anybody look into, at the minimum, moving away from Swansea and spreading their wings somewhere else, because it gives you a different perspective on life and broadens you as a person.
And that's something I wanted to touch on, was that you did go from a small town, one right there, that any of us could drive to, and you went and you played Ivy League football. And that's something that a lot of kids would want to do here that I know, and that's crazy. So tell me more about that. Did you want to play football your whole high school? Was that
I
the goal?
loved football, Billy, when I was a little kid. 10, 12, 14 years old, I would go to my grandmother's house and I'd sit down and I'd watch the Notre Dame football game on Saturday. That was way before cable TV. There was like 3 channels. Notre Dame, being Notre Dame, was always on. And I said, someday I'm going to play for Notre Dame. Well, I wasn't good enough, but I was good enough to be recruited by a couple levels below that.
Right, but don't diminish it. That's not. You're not at the bottom of the totem pole.
And I'm not trying to deprecate
right.
myself. I'm just saying where this all came from. But I did know that I wanted to go to a top college. So I really started hitting the books hard when I was a sophomore. My freshman year, I was kind of a knucklehead, and it makes me kind of chuckle because when I teach freshmen how I get on, especially the boys.
Right.
They're always 3 years behind the girls in maturity. And I tend to forget that I myself was in that chair years ago. But I picked up the pace on the books, and to be quite honest, if I wasn't a good enough athlete, I probably wouldn't have got in there on the academic merits alone. But what I would say to a student here, Billy, that's a top producing student, always remember the Ivies and the MITs and the Stanfords and the Dukes, it's not what they can offer you that matters, it's what you can offer them.
Which is very important, and what you hear a lot, which is good.
10% of kids get in those schools.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you were one of them, and that's very interesting.
Thank you.
I love hearing that. So now, you're a teacher now.
Yeah.
What's your favorite tool? What novel, what book, what passage? What's your favorite tool that you think gets the students the most, or the one that you use the most? What's your favorite?
Like literature book or?
Well, yeah, because you are an English teacher, so I'm assuming that's probably what you mostly rely on.
The kids always come back to me and say they like the most is The Most Dangerous Game, that short story. That's like the classic freshman short story. I come right out of the gate with it, Billy, because it's interesting.
It is.
And it's easily understood. Once you get by the fact that General Zaroff is this madman fraud and you see the truth, it's exciting. So I think it kind of like it's setting a hook when you're trout fishing or something. Now you hook the fish, and hopefully that when you move into the more difficult things like Romeo and Juliet in your Dickens novel, you have an engaged audience.
And here's a branch off of the tool question that I have for you. So you're a small town boy, you're at UPenn, you become a teacher. Obviously there's changes down that line. What got you into special needs education specifically?
Well, it's funny you said that. My father was a 31-year principal at Norton Middle School, so education is in the DNA of my family. I for 20 years was in different sales capacity jobs, from a software salesman to estate planning, etc. And I had a health scare about 12 years ago. I had to take a year off and kind of get myself back together. And in order to kind of work my way back into the workforce, I started coaching football at Bishop Fian. And I said, wow, man, I really love working with these kids. This is awesome. You know, my father always said, I think you'd be a pretty good teacher. So I ended up working at Stevens Children's Home because I didn't have my certificate to be a public school teacher back then. And I worked with these are kids from some tough circumstances. You know, they're in a residential setting. And part of the deal there is that most of those kids are on IEPs, and they would pay for your schooling at Bridgewater State as long as you worked there. So I ended up taking my master's in special education there, and got my master's, which led me to here. But I love working with the special education kids, Billy.
No, that's great.
It's a labor of love, I guess, to use a cliched term.
My aunt has her master's in special education too.
Yeah.
She works with primarily autistic children. I know that's what her dissertation's on, and everything that she's writing.
And
is
that's
on.
such a huge thing, because there is no two autistic children that are the same.
Right. So it's obviously something that you enjoy to do. You say you've worked in different fields. You're in this one now. In the later half of your life, the later.
Yeah, this is it. I'm on the back nine, William. I'm on the back nine.
The back nine. You say that too, and we're both people who enjoy a good game of golf. And I was told by a bunch of different other teachers who work here, who remain unnamed, to bring up golf for you. Golf's what you do. Is that the best hobby for you?
I love golfing because I love sports, and now that's what I'm relegated with.
Right,
I'm 53 years
so,
old.
No
and
more football.
As Paul Simon once sang, I'm soft in the middle now. So me playing full court basketball with 20-somethings, that's not cutting it. And it's it's more than just the physical part, though, Billy. I mean, every person needs outlets in their life, and that's my thing. But my probably greatest passion is collecting coins. I've been collecting pennies since I was 12 or 13 years old. And I still spend, a considerable amount of time following that, and I find that to be a great outlet.
That's very interesting. The last thing we're going to go to, while we're talking about hobbies and outlets and the such, is one of the last things is, what type of music are you interested in? What type of music do you listen to? You just brought up Paul Simon.
Well,
So that's a
I mean,
good
hey,
indicator.
I'm a guy from the 70s and 80s, so I'm going to hit the classic rock stuff. But some of the stuff that I really liked that you'll never get played anymore, even on the classic rock stations, maybe some like old Allman Brothers stuff.
I love the
Live at Fillmore East when they were playing their long instrumentals. This is some of the finest music you'll ever hear in your life, but you'll never hear it on WZLX because they're not going to play a 13-minute song with no lyrics.
Right.
But I go with like Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers, the Eagles.
That's great stuff.
All that
absolutely.
stuff. Now,
I'm getting a good
my son, who's 11, said to me just last week, Billy, Dad, why do you always listen to the same songs all the time? So maybe I should listen to him
Maybe
more.
you should go out. No, that's true. And you have an 11-year-old son. You have
a 16-year-old as well.
16-year-old too.
At Fian.
So what we're gonna go for this is the final question. This is the big shebang, which we'll build off of this. What do you think is, and this is a big one. What do you think is the single happiest moment of your life? Through all the careers, through the schools.
Oh boy.
What do you think narrows down as at least one of?
Well,
moments?
Bill, the default answer you'll get from someone like me is the birth of the children. And of course, that's a huge moment, or marriage to your wife. I think that the best thing in my life right now, Billy, is I have a job I love. I never once get up and say, oh my God, I have to go to work. Now, do I have Nirvana in my classroom every single day? No. Mr. Koss can raise his voice, but I love kids. I love teaching them. I love seeing someone like you go from a little puppy freshman into a fully ready to go, get them, real world type. And that's really the joy of my life, is to see that. And you see it with almost every kid. I was just talking to Rebecca. I had her in freshman English. Now I see her and I'm thinking to myself, wow, in 4 or 5 months she's going to be walking on a college campus. So there's a lot of enrichment in your life that goes far beyond any paycheck or pension plan that teachers get if they really, really love their job.
And I appreciate you being with me here today. I appreciate
no
all
problem.
of that, like you said. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
I'm glad that I know that much more about you.
All right.
And good luck to you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.